Years ago, downtown, these four guys had an idea. They were sitting around bullshitting. They had just gotten moved out of the doorway, and they told they couldn't sleep there. And they said, well, let's just band together and say, hey, bullshit, we're seeing, we need, we just want help, because they didn't want to be homeless. They wanted to be back on their feet. And so they started what you call an out of the doorways movement. And everybody got together and got a bunch of tents. And they camped underneath the bridges and stuff downtown. Now the cops would tell them to go, and everybody loaded their shopping carts and pushed them around town. But every time they moved, they'd put their shopping carts all over downtown to the new spot, and they stayed there for a few days, and they get pushed on again. And so throughout the course of the year, and several moves downtown, the city offered us this place. Right here, it's like 2 3/4 acres, and there's enough for 60 of us. And you can come here for a couple of years, as long as it takes to get back on your feet.
The only thing that's given to us is the land that we're on, and we're given this by the city at a $0 lease, but we have to jump through the city's little hoops.
We are self-governed. That means we, from the members in the village, the people that live here, we elect a council. Basically, the members decide what to do. That means we talk about it forever until we figure out what we want to do, and then we do it. And that's how it happens. That's how it works. We sell firewood. We'll put on plays. We'll do yard sales. We'll do whatever we can do to make a buck to pay the bills. We are the only homeless village in the world, I believe, that pays its own bills.
We are allowed to have 60 full-time residents here.
Yeah.
During the winter, we can have an additional 10. This building is normally our greenhouse. It was designed by the Da Vinci Art School, which is 8 to 12-year-old kids. It is our warming shelter that we keep open until March 1st. It works out really well.
Yeah.
And it also lets 8 people, I guess, can stay in here, but 8 other people to get off the streets for the winter.
Yeah.
This one is really small, though.
Oh.
It's only like 93 square feet or something like that. And we're allowed to have up to 120 square feet, which is this one over here. So this one's being replaced with the structure here. This one is being done by Portland Community College. Kind of give you an idea of the size of what our structures are like now. Which one is it? Hey, Oreo. How the village works, or how you get in and work your way up. You first start off by coming in and meeting with VIC at 10 o'clock on Tuesday mornings, and VIC is Village Intake Committee. They then put you on a waiting list, which I think is about 16 long right now. So that could take several weeks, it could take 6 months. We have a couple buildings that we call dorms. That is one of our structures with a partial wall down the middle for some privacy. It's only got one heater in it though. So you get put into one of those dorms to begin with. You're a 60-day guest during that time, and until they find someplace else for you, you stay in that dorm. But 60-day guest is like a teenager in trouble. You don't get to stay out past 10 o'clock. You don't get to go out overnight unless you talk to mom and dad. VIC. You can't wander around the village just at random. You have to go from your structure to the main areas unless you're actually working and doing something. Then you're able to go to and from whatever you have to do.
Yeah.
You cannot have guests over inside of your place, day or night. So you make it past that 60-day guest status. You become a resident. Residents, you can be out after 10 o'clock. Now, if you're working, you get to come and go, but you just have to let VIC know as a guest. You can now be gone for up to 3 nights without notifying anybody. You're allowed to wander around the village. You can have day guests over inside of your place. But what most of us strive to do is become members, because we're a membership-based corporation. Membership, you can be gone up to 14 days at a time without contacting anybody. You can have guests up to 14 days in your structure at a time. Biggest thing though is you have voting rights and privileges. Here, each and every one of us have the same amount of voting privileges once you become a member, and every vote does count. The 2 things that VIC will ask when you come in to apply to get into the village is, 1, are you over the age of 18? 2, are you homeless? The reason why we don't allow children is because we don't ask all those other questions. We don't do a background check. Somebody could come in who is a predator, and we may never know. So for the safety of the kids, we don't allow kids. Now, once you are a member in good standing, you are allowed to have your children here 3 nights a month as long as you prove that that child is allowed to be with you. Everyone must contribute to the operation and maintenance of the village. We do that by 2 ways. 1, we all have to pay $35 a month. 2, how we pay our rent is called sweat equity. We have to do at least 10 hours of work here in the village, helping out the village in one way or another. 2 hours has to be at security, and then our meetings count because that's helping with the operation.
Yeah.
Tours count for me.
Well, my wife and I were homeless in Milwaukee. We found a stretch of woods and we lived in tents and we slept in abandoned houses. And in Milwaukee, and I heard about the village when I was doing a 2 weeks in jail for a criminal trespass. And I got that sleeping in an abandoned house where I had to do 2 weeks. I got sentenced to that, so I did 2 weeks. And when I found out about the village in jail, and I got out of jail, and we came up here and got on the list. And it took a couple of months, but we moved in. At first, we weren't going to stay here very long, just long enough to get back on your feet, and then we kind of fell in love with the place, and we've ended up part of running the place. And so we've been here for the last 6 years helping people out, and we probably helped a couple hundred people, I guess.
How I ended up homeless was I'd been in a marriage with the 2 kids, the 2 cars, the 2 jobs, the 2 dogs, the 2 cats, the mortgage, and all that. And my husband and I started drinking pretty heavily, and he got abusive. So I left him and my 2 kids that were 15 and 16 at the time because he never swung on them. Well, being that who knew where I was going to go, I had to leave them.
Yeah.
I moved in with a guy who had been like my best friend when my husband and I went to the bars. This guy just acted like he just adored me. I thought, wow, this is it. He tried to kill me numerous times. He took a double-barreled shotgun to my head and pulled the trigger. There was only 1 cartridge in the gun, and he pulled the right trigger in my mind, the wrong one in his. I left Christmas Eve night one year, 9 years ago, and came up with a story about my kids and being able to see my kids for Christmas and all that, and went out to dinner with Scott and his family, and I never went back. But I had no place to go, so I ended up homeless. There's a reason I'm still here.
Yeah.
I've now been in the chair position for 2 years since we were shopping around. We are part of the leadership here.
Yeah.
I'm also part of, the village, but Scott and I mainly are going to the Village Coalition, getting other villages started.
This is just a step. This is a small bucket, a small drop in a huge problem. But it takes everybody working together. This is just one alternative way to do it. The shelter system is needed. R2D2 downtown is needed. Hazelnut Grove, all the other places, Opportunity Village in Eugene. All those places are needed, and it's all just part of the problem. The problem is bigger than all of this, but this is just part of the solution, I think. And it's a viable one. We've been here 17 years. Someday, and we're saving for it now, we'd like to get our own piece of land and start and do it there. With a little farm and places for people to stay, and you come, you live, you work, you get better, and you go.
In the back of us is a compost yard that's caused a lot of health problems for people here. The heat in the summertime is brutal. Because this tarmac is 10 degrees hotter than it is out there.
Yeah.
It is absolutely brutal.
Oh, jeez.
However, the river down the road takes real good care of that in the summertime. In wintertime, it's really brutally cold. Really cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you guys cope with the coldness?
Bundle up a lot. I am a security coach. I'm the mail person. I just, if somebody needs me to help them with something, I'm more than happy.
By federal standards, we are still homeless. But no, this is home. I don't know if everybody feels like that, but this is home and this is family.